What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs weekly update. And this week is one of the biggest weeks in earnings. You have Tesla, you have Facebook, you have a couple other big names this week that are going to set the pace for this market. Yes, we had a bit of a scare last week. We had reports of Biden coming out with a tax plan on Thursday, which kind of sold the market off fairly quickly, to say the least. It was quite the thrilling excitement for the week. We haven't seen a dramatic drop like that in a while, especially all in one candle, especially an hourly candle. But nonetheless, we picked back up on Friday, which was good to see. We're holding. There was a lot of different pumps on Friday. I myself, I didn't take any new positions. I'm still in coin. The coin, in my opinion, I think will still run quite a bit. I am looking at a couple other different plays, which I'll get into the weekly plays. What I'm really looking at this week, although this week there's a lot of different things to keep in mind. What I'm looking at, what this week will essentially bring. One thing to keep in mind, we also have some different things that I'm going to bring up, which is the Fed. So even though we have an earnings, one of the biggest earning weeks to start us off, again, we got a lot of big tech. We got a lot of other big companies that are coming up to bats here. One thing to keep in mind is we do have the meetings, the FOMC meetings this week. So you got that Tuesday and Thursday. So keep that in mind, especially with the ideas of the tax plan and everything that has come out or talks of it last Thursday. I believe we also have a Biden coming out this week on the same time with Powell. So being said, that is something to keep in mind. The market you might get a lot of whipsaw again. I know it's frustrating. Last month we've been waiting for this bull market, but again, everything is just lining up to this week, and where the market is currently sitting at, it's going to be actually quite interesting, to say the least. But again, you have Tesla on Monday, you have Facebook on Wednesday. Again, there was a couple other ones, but those are the primary ones. And then you got Square on top of it the following week, which is some of my plays that I want to actually get to here. Let me remove this guy and actually add my other screen here. So being said, the SPY in itself, I'll go ahead and talk about SPY, and I'll bring up the watch list for this week. We had that sell-off on Monday on the hourly. I was actually kind of expecting us to come down to that 409 mark and kind of retest the middle Bollinger Band here upon support on the 20, but we didn't quite get that. The market actually held up surprisingly well, although the good thing to keep in mind here too is that, the market earnings run-ups have not been the same this particular earnings. There's been a lot of random bad news that's come out that has just randomly sunk the market. And it was kind of concerning seeing what the tax plan had that dropped the market so quickly in such a quick fashion on Thursday, only for us to recover on Friday. Again, some things moved back up, right back into position where it was just before the drop. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I wouldn't be surprised. I am recording this on a Saturday morning. On Sunday, come futures open, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually pulled back a little bit, even into Monday morning. Ultimately, even if we do gap up, possibly even tomorrow, I guarantee there will be, I will almost guarantee, although this isn't financial advice, that there's going to be a pullback come Monday morning for set up for especially like your Teslas and your Facebooks. And then again, you got another big set of earnings right behind that next week, with Square and a couple others next week as well. I don't have the full list of all the earnings. Again, I'm just mentioning the particular ones that I'm really focusing on this week and next. I want to try to get positioned, especially in like Facebook, because I know Facebook always crushes earnings for the most part. So that is something to keep in mind. And again, Wednesdays you might get actual run up, but we also got the Fed, so keep that in mind. But as far as the watch list this week, again, the market. To talk about the market, I just want to say that we're coming into that trend line. We've been kind of bouncing around this trend line. I was expecting a pull back down to the bottom channel, but now I'm thinking that we might, with earnings, two big earnings, as long as everything goes okay this week, I wouldn't be surprised if we break above this and start running and then come back down right after some of the bigger earnings are done. I'm expecting that. And again, sadly, that we didn't have much more of a bigger push. You know, at the beginning of the month, we did have that push, which was a relief after last month. But coming into this month, it has been kind of shaky. There's been a lot of random news again that has kind of messed everything up. But for this week, I'm looking at Tesla coin. Coin has really been beaten down for the most part. And I know a lot of it is due and being correlated with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin sell-off over the weekend, especially with, again, the tax plan and everything that's been going on and the possibilities. I mean, if you look back at it, Biden has actually been talking about this particular tax plan even, before he got into office. And then now that he's in, nothing has really changed. It's always kind of been the same. It's just kind of regurgitating old news from this point. I don't believe anything's been changed from my standpoint. As far as I was aware, this 43% was something that for people, again, that make over $1 million and essentially gains, right? So that's being said, I think ultimately the plan really hasn't changed much. I think, again, it's been the same, just regurgitating, and the market just didn't like it, right? Because retail traders essentially will be possibly hit more, especially if there's a flat tax across the board for capital gains. But ultimately, we have to see how that plays out. I think that number is high. It could come down, right? It hasn't been passed. If it does pass, I can see a lot of people taking profits. I could see this year possibly being a year where we do have a black swan and where people will take profit and perhaps tank the market at that point to avoid taxes into next year. Again, we'll have to see on that if that is true or not. That way people can kind of reduce taxes before this new increase, because I don't think it's going to be retrofitted to 2021. That's been said. A lot of people are still struggling. It's more based for, I think, 2022. But I think a lot of that stuff is going to be addressed this week, especially with Powell and everything. As long as Powell continues to play the same song and dance, I think we'll be fine. We'll give again a bit of a pump here, and then I would expect a pullback at some point here before we get ready for the next leg up. I don't expect some big correction, but I expect some kind of pullback a little bit greater than what we've had, just to continue on down the road. So again, for the watch list, being said, Tesla Monday, Facebook Wednesday, again, coin. I like coin setup. It's been beaten down and being addressed by Bitcoin, that crash in the tax plan. But I think this point forward, we're going to run unless something dramatic comes out this week. Coin could, I think, make a big run up. Airbnb, it's been beaten down quite a bit. It started actually making a move. Looks great on the daily, which is something I'll bring up. SQ, again, has earnings next week. They always crush it with numbers, but they've taken a little bit of a beating as well, along with coin, because of the fact of not only the tax plan, but Bitcoin being associated with Bitcoin. So SQ has really been kind of reflecting the price on Bitcoin as well, which could have been even the case with Tesla, but we have to see how that plays out. But nonetheless, as far as SPY is going this week, again, we want to see where we are with this daily candle. It would be nice if the futures open above this channel and finally break out, and then come Monday do a retest of this channel and then continue up to all-time highs from this point. But again, I'm thinking about being cautious a little bit more, only because of what happened with the tax plan. And again, you have the Fed in the same week, so it could be a really interesting week. Now, QQQ on the daily. Again, it looks like it hit support. The QQQ looks like it's got some room to run. Again, I think we got a couple days with the earnings this week. If they do well, as long as no random more tax plan information, which could potentially be a black swan. Not really a black swan as opposed as to something coming out from left field, but more so that it could put a strain on a lot of the growth stocks. Primarily tech. I know second tier tech has really been running, although the leaders of tech, even though they've been leading over the past couple of weeks, you have your second tier techs that have continued getting beat down, and now it looks like there's kind of a rotation there, in which your second tier tech has actually been pushing up quite well. But as far as we go this week, Tesla, again, it's had some great breakout points. And over this whole past week, it's really wanted to break out. It's had multiple different flags. It looks like it's flagging again on the daily here. It really wants to just break out. And it is trying really hard, even though the market in general and the information coming out, hopefully on Monday after close, we get some good news and actually breaks this up. Because if Tesla starts moving up, I can definitely see some of the other players following suit after that. But again, if you come Tuesday or Wednesday and Powell changes song and dance, or Biden comes out with some new tax plan or idea, anything about taxes comes out, could scare the markets. Hopefully, I know that initial shock on Thursday, it's kind of like, oh, we realize, right, that this information was regurgitated. Maybe that's why we bounced back on Friday. But hopefully that doesn't deter good earnings this week. If we do have good earnings, hopefully that doesn't play anything big into that. So I'm really looking at Tesla. Tesla more so playing the day, Monday, playing the run up. I would expect us to actually break out of this and possibly run up. So I'll be looking for that on Monday. And then if earnings does well, I'll be looking for the continuation on that, because I think we can go back to and retest possibly all-time highs. It just all depends on what Powell is saying. We could start running up to 800 and then come find out that Powell has changed his song and dance, and the tax rate stuff comes back up and we come slamming back down to 750. Could be a possibility, right? Everything is a 50-50 chance. It's just trying to look at the different scenarios and see what is possible for the week. Now you have coin. Coin's been really been beat down, and again, really strongly associated. I know there was a lot of bad news about coin this past week as well as the company itself. Now coin, I think, is been pumping, or the volume's really been pumping just because of what it represents. And I know I haven't really traded any short-term contracts on this. All the contracts I've traded on this have been leaps, essentially. And so being said, I think the premium has really been building up for this for a bigger move. And so it's going to be interesting to see. I know Kathy Wood has actually been buying a lot of coin on every dip. She's bought definitely. I know she bought, I think it was like another 250,000 shares of coin on Friday. But it's not just because of that. That's not why I chose this. I know this, again, like I said, the reason why I like coin is because of what it represents. It represents the crypto side of the house. And if you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of different changes. Not only has a lot of the different companies brought it on as an asset, as far as like Tesla, MicroStrategies, you got PayPal, you got Square, you got a bunch of other different companies that are Amazon, Walmart, that are all getting on board with the crypto space. and building out infrastructure for that. And so this is kind of the gateway drug, right, to get into the crypto space. And so that's what it represents. And so maybe the company, I'm not a huge fan of Coinbase itself, but what it represents is ultimately where it's getting its steam from, until some other big US exchange, which I think isn't going to really happen. I know there's the Voyager app that's out there, but it's not really widely known. Being said, I think it's going to be a while before you get any other bigger exchanges here. Again, this is a front runner. I think that's why there's a lot of people like Kathy Woods buying up a bunch of shares, because, again, of what it represents. And again, there's been some really high price targets for this, some in the 600s. For coin, and I think that's a strong possibility, especially if this bull market actually starts getting rolling. We've been building up for a long time. There's been a lot of anticipation for this bull market. There's been a lot of money flooded in, so it's just waiting for this move to be up. So it's more just being patient at this point. Facebook, I really like Facebook. They had some news, I think, come out the other day, and then they were pumping yesterday. I caught the pump on Friday, but they were talking about CNBC, I think, had brought it up on Friday, so that's where the pump came from. I didn't know exact news. I don't really follow CNBC or that particular news. Most of my news comes from Twitter, so I try to get the latest information on what is going on. But ultimately, Facebook, I think, will break. Facebook always does extremely well on earnings with their ad revenue. Mark Zuckerberg destroys it. Being said, a lot of people may not like him, but he is very forward thinking, and he is leading the way, right? He also has the Oculus, I think it's the Oculus Rift. They did purchase that, and so they're trying to get into the virtual space ahead of everybody, and they're creating, again, they're very forward thinking and trying to develop great things. And so I myself want to actually do more trading, do more investing with Facebook on dips, because of the fact that they're always trying to stay up with the latest. They're always being innovative and finding new solutions to new things and being forward thinking. And a lot of people tend to forget that, right? It's like Tesla. A lot of people, I think, tend to think of Tesla as just a car company, when in fact, they represent a lot of other different things on the energy side of the space. Facebook is the same way, right? When people talk about Facebook, they only think about the app. There's a lot of different things, right? There's a lot of, you forget about the Facebook marketing and all the other things, like, especially now that they're getting the virtual space, right? They're trying to expand that, and they're essentially building an empire here right before everybody's eyes, where everybody just sees the app. So Facebook, again, I think this week is going to have a run up on Wednesday. So I'm watching that ultimately this week. Airbnb is another one. There are multiple actually trends here. This is actually a downward tapering wedge, which I wanted to catch here, and I was talking about getting in here, and then we actually been pushing up quite a bit over Thursday and Friday. So Monday, I'm actually expecting this to break over. If it does break over, I'm taking some share positions in this and writing this out to hopefully test new all-time highs. I do like Airbnb a lot. There's information, again, that came out from the CEO talking about how the demand is going to be so high that they're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. So something to keep in mind. I don't know when exactly earnings are, but I think if we do get this train running, I think at this point that Airbnb will finally get back in gear and start running with it. Square is the other one I have for this week. They do have earnings next week, so I'm trying to take a position in shares in this as well. I do like Square. It has so much going for it. Now that they got a brick and mortar coming, and they had something else announced as well this week. I can't recall what it was. I think it was something to do with stores, but nonetheless, again, on the daily, it had a nice bounce off the metal Bollinger Band. We have tons of headroom here. It's high or low. I think we're going to easily break this. One thing I've noticed about Square is that it does this move right before earnings. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go to try to test at 279. and then kind of hold pattern until actual earnings, and then possibly break out to the upside. I know there's been a lot of price target adjustments for well over 300. So I'm trying to take positions in those particular three: Airbnb, Facebook, and Square for this week. As far as like solid shares positions, Tesla, I'm looking more for scalping and continuation plays. Coin, again, I'm in a leap, ultimately trying to capture that move up. If everything starts going well, as long as the tax plan and everything, Bitcoin remains stable, doesn't come down, I think we are good. And there's no reason for, I think, Bitcoin to come down any further than what it is. It might come down a little bit more, correct a little bit more, but ultimately I think there's a transition period that we're going through. So that's something to keep in mind ultimately as the crypto space, and why I'm trying to bring more crypto information to this channel here pretty soon, to try to inform you guys about that, because that's essentially the next layer of finances and stocks and investing is going to be in the crypto space. And as many as people may not like that and may think crypto is dirty, in my mind, it's going to be removing the middleman, right? And doing peer-to-peer benefits you and me a lot better than the middleman, the banks, and allowing us to make more money off of our money, our hard work and earned money. So I think there is, and it's good to see the adaptation of all these other big name companies and people like Elon Musk, and really backing these cryptocurrencies and allowing us to get ahead in life, right? And try to stop some inflation. And so that is what crypto is there for. So being said, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.